Okay, looks like we're live. I am in the chat, so we should be good to go. In the chat, so we should be good to go.
Can you hear you?
Yeah, I heard myself. Did you just click on the stream? Click on the stream.
Just give me. Oh yeah, sorry. I'm going to. So here we go. Yes, now it's working. Because
okay.
when I start the stream on Twitch, it switches to the browser and starts the. That's why it's. Yeah.
Ah, okay. It's a setting on Zoom. Okay, cool. So I guess for the stream, hello, I'm Billy Autry. I'm here representing the Scala Steering Committee, and we also have Matthias on.
Hi everyone. It's Matthias from the Play Framework. You probably, we talked about last time. You heard of us probably now. When you're looking at this stream, you probably know us.
Probably so. So I thought for this stream, what we would do is just a little bit of a conversation between me and Matthias, talking about what the steering committee is doing, updates about the Play framework over the last month, and then maybe talking a little bit about what our plans are for upcoming videos. We have a few plans there, and then if we have a little time at the end, maybe diving into SVT plugins and things like that. But that's sort of just a free-form conversation and talking about what's going on with the Play framework. Keep everyone up to date.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. So I guess we start out by talking about our sponsors. We have, since our last update, we've had several sponsors, premium sponsors, sign up. Isn't that right, Matthias?
Yes, exactly. So I think when we talked last time, we had 3 premium sponsors, and now we have 2 more. And I'm going to show you. So I'm going to share my screen. That's probably the easiest thing to do. So you should see my screen now.
Yeah.
So we have 2 more premium sponsors. That's Pronto Software. They're based in Australia. Yes. So basically, we got in contact because of a security issue, I think, or something that they needed to have fixed. And then we basically had a Zoom conversation, and they use Play quite intensive. And the interesting thing is to use Play Java. And basically, you could see the benefit of sponsoring the framework, because, of course, they are using the framework quite a lot. And basically the whole, I wouldn't say the whole, but quite a part of their business is depending on the Play framework. So I think this was the first time they ever invested in an open source project, but I think they could see the benefit. And it's really, they're really nice people, and you should check them out. They're based in Melbourne. They're looking for employees. So if you're based in Australia and you're looking for a job with Play Java, that's probably a place to go. Yes, then we got a second premium sponsor, which is Civiform. And that's, what's that? I think that's also like an open source, or like kind of an open community project. It started in the city of Seattle in the United States. And basically, this is backed by google.org. So we didn't expect the sponsor. I didn't expect them. But basically, they just showed up and said, look, we are using Play, and we want to push it forward. They're also using Play Java as well. And they said, we really want the framework to succeed. And that's why basically they, of course, sponsored. And the interesting thing is, I was in touch with project manager from Google. So that's heavily backed from Google. Yes, and now they started, like, I think 3 years ago, and now they're already expanding to many more cities in the United States. And there's like a government thing. And actually, this website wasn't online like 2 weeks ago. It's quite new. So I can see they have a GitHub repository now as well. Yeah, and basically they pretty much depend on Play Java as well. So that's why they signed up, which is a good thing, of course. So we have 5 premium sponsors right now. And like I said before, the interesting thing is, and I thought I want to mention this, like 3 out of 5 using Play Java. So that's really interesting. And the people I talk to, because like, why are you using Play Java and not like Spring or something else? And they said like, they still think Play is much better for developer experience, and they can get things done much faster. And also they like they started with the project usually a couple years ago, and they like the async first approach of Play, which wasn't so much available back then. So that's basically the reason why they use Play Java. And okay. Everyone is really happy with it. So it's not like they have no intention to move away from it or anything else. Yes.
Okay, very cool. So I guess, knowing that we have several sponsors that are using Play Java, it would be interesting to know, do you know how many might be using, are they using Twirl as well? Do you know which features out of Play they're using? Are they primarily writing JSON APIs with it? I'm just kind of curious.
To be honest, I don't really know. As far as I know, I think like Informaticon and also like Pronto maybe. I think but I'm not sure. I didn't talk in depth with them about what they're using. But like they're even, I know that Pronto, for example, they still use, I said it now because they like using Eclipse, I think, to most of the devs, so some of them, because they said the SPT Eclipse plugin is broken and they would like to have it fixed if that's possible. So it seems like they're using kind of more conservative approach and not, but I don't really know. So,
okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's always interesting to kind of think about how people are using Play, because there's so many different modules and so many different pieces you can kind of plug in and use. And it's super interesting to me to think about how people are using it.
Yeah, actually what I know, like what I have heard from right from back then and so on, is like 50% of the users actually use Play Java. So it's not like I think that was always kind of a misunderstanding that a lot of people think that Play is just a Scala framework, which is actually it's not. I mean, you can do everything in Java as well. There's nothing, you don't have to touch any Scala code anymore. That was like 5-6 years ago. You still had to write some Scala classes every now and then, but now you can. You don't have any. You don't need any Scala experience actually to use Play. I mean, SPT is a bit of an own chapter, and Twirl is a bit of also Scala-like, but yeah, it's. I was consulting with these companies like in the last 2-3 years, and they were using Play Java, like one in Germany, another one in Switzerland, and they also use Play Java. So it's quite popular, I think, as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Cool. Well, thanks to our new sponsors. It's always good to see more sponsors, and we hope to see more backers, big and small. Help support what's going on, help get Matthias more full-time into Play, and help the steering committee, allocate funds appropriately and start to set boundaries for things. It'll be exciting to see all that go in place.
Yeah, I want to mention one thing. I'm not going into detail of this, but the amount you see in Open Collective is basically not the amount what's really going to being paid out. Like what they said, like that's how much money we already have collected. It's not the real amount, because from that amount, Open Collective still takes a cut. And also that's US dollars, but I, for example, get paid in euros. So that's even less euros if I convert it to euros, and so on and so on. So you can basically don't trust the amount so much on the Open Collective side. You can download a CSV file from the website, and then you can just have a look very detailed, because it's very transparent, and you can see how much money really is going, across the table. Yeah. So I just want to mention this, like, it's not really accurate, all this, the numbers on the website.
Yeah, that's important to keep in mind, I guess, as you see what's going on with Open Collective, and if you think, oh, well, Play's doing well enough. Well, we've got plans as you know the number of donors sort of creeps up that to start to expand how we're using the funds and get more activity into Play improvement. So if you know companies and places that are looking to push Play forward and make it better, then steering committee certainly has plans for that to help push that. So yes. definitely we welcome anyone to talk with us if they're curious about how things are sort of being allocated and what we have planned for the future.
Yes, and just once again, like the nice thing about Open Collective is it's really transparent. Actually, I wanted to sponsor another project on some other platform, I don't know, but I couldn't see how much money they already make or like how much money they already have. So that's for me, that was like a bit of a showstopper, because I was like, I really would like to know how much money you already have and what's happening with the money. And that's you can look it up on Open Collective. So basically, companies I talked with, they didn't really know Open Collective, and they didn't really know all of that, because it's not so new, but for some people it's quite new. So that's kind of a new approach. And yes, so basically you see what we do with the money anyway, and you can always cancel it if you don't have with it. So
yeah. Speaking of Java, I thought it was probably worth talking about, we just did a video a couple of weeks ago where I talked about, just the hello world in Scala. And Matthias was talking to me the other day, and we've decided to expand that sort of video series to try to build a library in YouTube of, different examples and little walkthroughs to kind of teach about the Play framework, from a beginner's perspective. But we want to try to do it in Java as well. So I'll probably be doing a version of that video in Java pretty soon. So look out for that. Stay tuned. Watch the Twitter. We'll announce when we're going to do that, and then we'll upload it on YouTube when it's done. And it'll be there for if you start to hire people or you're working with people and you want to start to present to them, hey, these are how you do certain things in Java. Then we'll start to create a library of that sort of material. And if you have anything in particular you want to kind of see that seems sort of general purpose, we can try to fit that in. For instance, I know that some people use Twirl and some people don't. I know several companies that use Play APIs. They just send and receive JSON, or they use Play gRPC. And so it might be the case that we sort of go over a very basic, this is how Play gRPC works, and here's what the hello world what it looks like, and how you would build a new endpoint into a Play JSON API or a Play gRPC API. So those are some plans we have going forward, both in Scala and Java. And so stay tuned, and we'll keep putting videos out, and you'll see a lot more of that. And we'll continue to talk about what's going on with the steering committee as well.
Yes, I think it's a great idea. Actually, I think that the most videos are quite outdated on YouTube about the Play framework. So yeah, like Billy said, I think it's really, if you can build like a library with just give examples and all that stuff, walk over how to build a simple project, how, I don't know, for Play Java, for example, how to use JPA, how you use that. And yeah, I think it's really great, because yeah, if people have more material, people will use it more.
Yeah. And another thing to point out is if you are watching this video and you, for instance, are working on Play JPA and you want to help contribute or think about ways to publish videos in collaboration with us, get in touch with us and we can kind of work on something together. So we are an open source community, so the community can help out with all of this if you want. We're certainly going to work on it, but all input is welcome.
Yes. Talking about that, I want to say something. And so basically, we wanted to talk about it anyway. So in the last couple of weeks, or the last couple of months, next to our other things we have going on in our lives, we try to finally, we switched all the Play framework to GitHub Actions. And this consumed quite a lot of time because it wasn't so easy, because we have so many sub-projects and we wanted to do that quite, we really want to do a good job with that, because things we do now very well will save us a lot of time later, because we are not so many people working on the framework. So I think it's a good thing to have a nice working infrastructure. Like if we want to cut a new release, we just want to click a button. We don't want to log in some remote server and type in some crazy commands just to make a release. So I'm saying that because there are many pull requests, and I said it last time as well, many pull requests and issues which are still open. And I have the feeling that right now there was a lot of things going on just to kind of get started again with the whole framework, because when it was born, like last year, it was in a quite bad state. There were many things were broken. The whole build wasn't running. Travis was, I mean, it was not usable anymore. And now Travis to change their subscription model and so on and so on and so on. And then we had a time where we couldn't even run a build like in the same way. And we couldn't even check pull requests, like check them against the build and things like that. So I have the feeling like right now, we're getting in a state again, like where we can just code again in a nice way. Like also, we have almost basically done with the GitHub Action stuff, and it's not just GitHub Action. There were other things going on as well. So that was like the main part. It sounds like it's not so difficult to move everything to GitHub Actions, but you have a lot of different repositories, different. Everyone is doing different things. Everything is doing different things and so on. But the point I want to make is, I have the feeling that we're coming back on track now slowly, because I got more time in the last month, and I'm getting much more. I will have much more time to work on Play, starting like in the next weeks from summer on, and also the repository is in a good state again. So there will be the point when we go through all the pull requests again, when we really start to get going again. And that's really nice. So I'm saying that because there are a lot of people I know, like we say, you come on and please open a pull request and so on. I write it a lot, like people open pull requests, but now they're like a bit, I don't know, no one is looking at them right now, or not so much. That's because we have other things going on, but we're definitely coming back to that. And yeah, then the train keeps moving.
Yeah. I've seen that. I actually pitched in a little bit with some of the GitHub Actions myself, and it's really nice. It might be worth navigating to that to sort of show the way that things are laid out in your browser there. But there's like there's a GitHub Actions. There's all of this coordination, that Sergey and you went through, and then there's also like a GitHub. There's a .github repo that has like all of the actions.
Yes.
So everything can be kind of centralized. So it was actually really easy for me to convert something to GitHub Actions, because all I had to do was reference all of the work that you had already done in this GitHub repo and .github repo, and it sort of centralizes. This is how you sort of do a workflow, and here's all the default settings and all the default sort of things we look for, and here's how and it also has everything built in, so it can test on different versions of Java and different versions of Scala, which is really useful. So
yes, the idea was, I mean, that's the main idea was basically from Sergey, so that's what he came up with, and I fully support that. The idea is, like I said, it's not just GitHub Actions, it's most of the things which are cross-cutting concerns across all the repositories. We want to just have a nice flow for all the developers to spend more time coding and less time like fixing the build or fixing a release, and spend like one day just to cut a new release. So like I said, we set up all this GitHub Action workflows, and I think we did a really nice job with that. So we can reuse them. And also we found like 3 or 4 bugs in the GitHub Actions on GitHub, things that don't even work, things like you still need improvement. Like one thing, for example, you can't clean the cache. It's not possible. Like when you cache something in the GitHub Actions, it's just there sitting, and it make it invalidated at some point, but you never know when and things like that. And if your cache is like dirty, you have a problem, and things like that. And some things are just not working. So basically, we are almost done with all that work now. And the nice thing is we can just reuse all of that workflows. And basically, when we want to cut a new release, for example, and that's working right now already, we can just go ahead and we can choose tag, for example, but like, let's make it easy. Because we have release drafter now, that's also a GitHub action. You can see, I mean, that's a lot of infrastructure thing. It's not like, okay, you may think like, what are you doing? And it's just, yes, but all the framework, it's all the ecosystem is so much work. And if you spend time just writing release notes, and I'm not native in English, as you can hear. So basically, there's so much time wasted with gardening. I mean, it's called gardening, like we call it gardening, like just keeping things running, just that everyone can do his job. And basically, for each repository, and we have like 15 or 16 or 17 sub-repositories, some are more important, some are less important, of course. We just, when we merge a pull request, the pull request now automatically shows up here on the new release draft notes. And then we can just, for example, I could just cut the release right now. I just go to edit and say, okay, we're going to cut 2.8.16 and so on preview. We can just edit and then like publish release. And now in the background, the whole publish pipeline starts to run and run the tests. I think it's running tests again, I'm not sure. And then put it on Maven Central and all that. And that's just a click now. And that's really cool because I remember like a couple of months ago still, this was a little bit painful. And by just clicking this button, you can make sure you are sure that you're using the right Java version, like things like that, you know, like when you do it on your notebook, on your MacBook, you easily make a mistake. You cut the releases and it's built with Java 11 instead of Java 8, and suddenly people download the release and nothing, it's broken and things like that, and it's getting annoying. So yes, what we're doing is keep the cost of maintaining and all the surrounding stuff very down. And kind of not really say automate things, because too much automate, it's also not good, but yes, just to make sure we have a nice experience also for ourselves.
Yeah. It was a lot of manual toil and labor just to get a release out. I remember Renato talking about that quite a bit. So, yeah. So I guess, speaking of the right version of Java, are we dropping Java 8 support for
yes.
Play 2.9?
Definitely. So I know it's a topic which comes up every now and then. So basically, we're definitely going to drop Java 8. The pull request is basically done already. What can I talk about? Java 8. That's Java 17. Now it's an issue to drop Java 8. Anyway, so we're going to drop Java 8. We're going to add support for Java 17. And this is basically, like I said, it's basically done. There's nothing else really to do. There were like almost like a year ago, I made a couple of pull requests to fix everything. And it's just, now this is just almost nothing. And then we have Java 17 and that's it. So like I said already, it's not so much work anymore. And the thing is, why we're dropping Java 8 is because, of course, everyone is moving on to Java 11, so Java 17. But the real reason for me is that a lot of libraries also don't get published anymore with Java 11. And that's a real problem, because when you have security issues in our dependencies and we still support Java 8, and then we cannot even upgrade them anymore. So that's the reason to finally move on to Java 11. And to be fair, Java 8 is like 10 years old already, almost. So I think it's time, even for big corporations, to finally move on.
Yeah. I think most corporations that I've worked with have moved on to Java 11 already. Yes. Even in the past, I remember, 3-4 years ago, some organizations that were slow behind were still moving to Java 11. And I think the move to Java 17 is, moving along nicely. I've seen it come around quite a bit. So keeping up with CVEs, those is really important. And I guess back to your earlier points, that being able to quickly cut a release and click a few buttons and type notes about it is really important for us to do smaller incremental releases, especially when we need to cut a release for security issues and things like that. I know that's important to a lot of people in the community. So it's nice to be able to do that more quickly.
Exactly, because there's so much going on. I don't want to repeat myself again, but there's so much going on also offline, which you can't see, because when I'm talking to companies or sponsors, like, okay, I'm going to make a Zoom call, it takes like 1 hour, 1.5 hours. I have to prepare a little bit, look up the company, why, and so on. So yeah, managing a project like this, and I'm not even working on it full time yet. Just basically, I try to squeeze in as much time as possible. It's quite challenging right now. So having everything set up, working nice is quite nice.
Yeah. On the same vein of Java 8, I think Scala 2.12 support is also being dropped.
Yes, we're dropping that as well, because we are moving to Scala. Not we're moving, but we're kind of supporting Scala 3. That's the plan, at least. So in the last steering committee meeting, we talked about the plan, how to move to Scala, like how to support Scala 3. And I hope that in the next couple of weeks, there are some people stepping up, like Renato from the steering committee said he may have time to look at that. Also, Eric said he may have time, because the real Scala experts, especially Eric, as far as I know, is really strong in Scala, and he already has experience with Scala 3 and all the things that needs to change. So we laid out, well, I did not. So that was Eric basically, and I think Renato wrote that. I'm not sure. It was Eric. Okay. So basically, in the last steering committee meeting, we laid out a plan how to support Scala 3. So they're going to do it step by step. Like, I'm going to, because Play, how to say in English, Play contains a lot of sub-projects, or it's built out of a lot of projects. You can see that when you import the Play repository in the IntelliJ. You will see there are a lot of projects, and different kind of projects, like SPT projects, which need to build against Scala 2.12, and the normal libraries, or normal Scala or Java libraries, which need to be cross-built against Scala 2.13 and Scala 3. So as it seems, we're going to do it step by step, starting with the SPT. I think that's most of them, like SPT roots compiler project. Yes, all of them, as you can see, layer 0, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, will be converted to Scala 3, or will be not converted again, like will be added. So the idea is that we have artifacts built for Scala 3, and when that's done, basically we can make a tick in that box and so on, and then we can move on, and at some point we will have the whole Play framework should produce Scala 3 artifacts.
Okay, perfect. So I guess logistically thinking about this, support for Scala 2.12 is dropping in Play 2.9 so that we can start to be able to turn on compatibility with Scala 3. But that's not to say Scala 3 will be supported in 2.9. It's just a stepping stone. And then I guess we'll put support for Scala 3 in Play 3.0 at some point. Is that the plan?
What do you mean exactly? Like, what do you mean by it's not support? It's basically but just to repeat the question again.
So I was just saying, so it's not we're not saying that Scala 3 is going to be fully supported in Play 2.9, but Play 2.9 will disable Scala 2.12 so that when we get ready to support Scala 3, we can do that with a Play 3.0 release, right?
Yes, but you mean that we're going to publish artifacts like the Scala_3 artifacts for 2.9 or not?
Oh, we are? Okay.
Did you think that?
No, I didn't think that. I'm just making sure.
Actually, I thought that. So actually, I thought that the plan was like we're going to have artifacts published but we will see how that goes. If not, I mean, of course, we can talk about that in the next steering committee meeting, how things are going for Eric and Renato and also other people. So if that takes too much time or there's some issues, because I know that we would like to use dependencies which are already built against Scala 3, and not all our dependencies already ready already. Like Akka HTTP, they're working on that right now. So there's work going on, but they still don't provide artifacts for Scala 3. I don't know if we should wait for that or not. So we will figure that out. So the nicest thing would be, of course, that everything is pure Scala 3. I mean, pure Scala 3, like that we use dependencies which are on Scala 3 already, and we publish artifacts in Scala 3 already. So that's probably the best thing we could have. But I have the feeling there are some bigger projects or bigger libraries like Akka HTTP, and not just them, there are others. When you look at GitHub on other projects, like it takes a while until all the libraries and all the projects catch up and produce Scala 3 or support Scala 3 and produce Scala 3 artifacts. So we're not alone with that. It's not like we're just the slow horse here. It's also others. It just takes a while because it's a lot of work. Everyone is busy with a lot of things, and yes, but it's coming. It's definitely coming.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'm super excited to see that. I remember talking to Renato or seeing Renato posting about it and saying there's some gotchas, I think, in a couple of places, so it may take a little while for some of this, especially if we're waiting on other upstream dependencies. But it is nice to see like an actual ticket that you can reference and look at and see that this is the progress for Scala 3, and this is how far we are.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I don't have so much experience with Scala 3 because I was stuck a little bit into Play and other things, but we will figure it out. How if there are issues if you use if you publish Play with Scala 3 support or Scala 3 artifacts and use old artifacts as dependencies because that's possible and things like that. But I'm not really sure right now if that makes sense or not.
Yeah, I think there's some compatibility stuff that you can run with Scala 2.13. Yeah.
All that Scala experts know
that. Okay, cool. So we've got a little bit of time left, I guess. Do you think we should talk about the SBT plugins a little more, or do you want to leave it here and talk about that next time?
What? Okay, I'm thinking about. I think there was something I wanted to mention as well. I mean, we can try. Yes, let's have a look.
Okay.
I mean, is there a specific question?
Well, what I was thinking was that we've seen more than one set of questions about how, the Play plugin sort of works. People are trying to pull in only certain parts of the plugin, or they're trying to use only one module from the plugin. Let's say that they don't want twirl, they just want to use, the Play routes, or they maybe they don't even want to use routes. They want to use code as routes, but they want to use everything else with Play. And so it's, I know that there's this hierarchy in Play for the plugins to say, okay, if you want all of the default features, then you just, enable the regular Play Scala application as your main plugin. But if you wanted to sort of do something custom, that means that you have to enable a lot of other different plugins, and they may have settings that you don't know about. So I thought it would be interesting just to sort of talk generally about, okay, this is where you start. If you're building your first Play Java application, you just use Play Java, application, or you turn on Play Scala application for a Scala app. But once you get outside of those default settings, what are you actually doing, in the default settings, and what can you include and what can you throw out?
Okay. We talked about that last a little bit, but I'm going to show you that again. We have, so basically, I can try to start a new project just to show that. Actually, I'm quite new to the Mac OS world, so I hope that works. Let's call it Play Test Project just. make that easy. Just do it somewhere. Oh, no. Let's use Java 11 for now. Okay. So basically, when you start a new Play project, oh, yeah, it's Play Scala now. What you see, so Play is just, the whole Play thing is an SPT plugin. So, and the SPT plugin, you basically add the plugin in the project plugins file. And that's where you say, it's just SPT, it's nothing special. You just say, okay, we want to have an SPT plugin, which is called SPT plugin from the Play repository, the artifact. You just add this to the plugins file, and then you have various plugins available. And by default, let's say that's the most common one everyone knows about is Play Scala and Play Java. So basically, what this enable plugins Play Scala does, it sets up the project configuration for you, like pulls in all the libraries that you need to run the Play application, sets up like SPT tasks, so you can, when you hit SPT run, that that the Play application actually starts and runs on the right port and accepts requests. So if you, I'm not sure if that's possible. No, it's not possible now. I think I have to somehow enable something to fetch all the sources. But I just set up this whole macOS stuff in the last like 2 weeks, so I'm a bit slow right now because I'm used to Linux for the last 15 years. But anyway, so as you can see here, we have Play Scala here. And if you look in the Play source code, you see all the plugins are defined here. So all we do now, we activate this plugin specifically. And this requires other plugins like the Play Web plugin. And it configures, like I said, the project with project settings. So when you have, so basically, like I said last time, it's a chain of, or a tree kind of plugins. And here we can have a look at the default Scala settings, for example, and you will see, okay, it does add template imports. I think that's for Twill probably, pretty sure. And yes, and that's all the Play Scala plugin does. But because it depends on the Play Web plugin, the Play Web plugin also sets up, configures or pulls in project configuration settings. And like in our case, web settings, of course, because it's Play Web. And as you can see here, again, it just configures the project for you. Basically, we could just copy that out, all of that. Just to get the idea, we could go through all the plugins and everything and just configure that here as well. So basically, that's how SPT works. It just sets all the settings here, or not like project settings and so on. Yes, so what that means is you can very easily, like if you say, okay, I want to use Play just to write, like you said, just services like APIs or REST APIs, whatever, what you want to do is, we don't need like Twill. As you can see, Play Scala depends on Play Web, requires Play Web, so Play Web will be activated or enabled. That means SPT Twill will also be pulled in. So what if we don't want to have the whole Twill magic and no Twill at all in our project? We can have a look which plugins don't provide Twill. For example, and as you can see, there's the Play Service plugin. That's, as far as I know right now, it's like the most common project you have, or like the minimal project you need to even run a Scala project, Play project actually. So when you just add Play Service, you have the basic functionality to run a Play application, nothing else. Like no Twill, no JSON support and things like that. What you can do right now, I didn't really use it a lot, but we can, for example, change that and say, okay, we're now running we're activating, it's working, yes, service. And like I said before, now we don't have any twirl anymore. And you don't even have roots, like you can't really, even the roots compiler, the roots file would just be ignored. I think the play service doesn't even provide the roots file. And for example, we can even expand it and now also enable another plugin. Like, I think we can now say, what's it called? SPT twirl. I think that should work, that we can just also like activate other plugins. And now we would, for example, that means we have enabled just the play service and the twirl plugin. I think that should actually work without any real issues because the plugins are quite independent of each other. So basically, yeah, that's kind of it. Like how you set up a kind of more customized play project by not pulling in things you don't need.
Okay. So I don't think that I don't think there's an exhaustive list of which settings are default and which settings you can sort of tweak anywhere. I don't recall anything like that in the play documentation in the time that I've spent there. But it sounds like if I want to, it's pretty easy to enable and disable certain plugins, but if I want to sort of enable the twirl plugin, I need to also make sure that I also enable the play settings that correspond to the twirl plugin from the sort of default setup that I might want to use. It's not just as straightforward as only including the plugins. If I want sort of close to vanilla or basic setup, I need to import the plugins, and I also need to import those settings.
For some, that might be for some things, like for example, if you're used to the play, like the play file structure is not like the main default layout. It's a bit different. It's like you have the add folder and the conf folder, and the configuration goes in the conf folder, and all the things. So basically, the play, if you just activate by Scala or Java or whatever, that sets up also this file structure for you, like the project structure. And I think there's even I think that's also done by another plugin. I can't remember right now. It must be somewhere else. And what that means, if you're used to some things, how they work in play, if you use like vanilla play, like not vanilla, but you might have to tweak some settings again to make that work if you just pull in twirl by yourself. Like what I saw before, like if you have SPT twirl, it already, of course, also sets up quite some configuration, but it might be that some plugin which pulls in the twirl also sets twirl configuration for you to make it work nicely with that plugin that pulls in twirl. So you might need to still tweak your configurations when you go that way, like I showed you right now, like where you're just going to kind of use a more customized project and pull in more, and not just depend on play Scala. So, but basically, if you have a look on the play framework source code, I think it's really nice you can just click on the things and you will see all the settings which are set up for you. And then you can just copy them, copy or just tweak them as you wish.
Yeah, okay, cool. That makes a lot of sense to me. I know that like I said, we've seen a lot of questions about specific things. How do I include or not include these sorts of things? I want a very minimal place setup, or I want to change the way the directory setup is and stuff like that. So it sounds like there's nice ways to sort of look for those hints here in the way that the plugins are sort of set up. So very nice.
Yes, exactly. I think it's a good starting point for the whole thing, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. And I guess for our Java developers, maybe they don't have to write Scala code, but they might have to be able to read Scala code a little bit to understand what's going on here. It's pretty straightforward, though.
But it's always good, like, to read other source code also, even if it's Scala. Like usually, I mean, you know that anyway. In most of the developers probably. Anyway, it's nice to work with open source projects. You can just, you know, go to repository or the IDE already pulls in the source code. And most of my work is just looking at other code actually, like see how, and fixing other code as well. So yeah, I can't imagine anymore to just use a framework and not to have a look inside the things you use actually. And I think that's the way to go anyway. But who I'm going to tell that, because yeah, people who are using PlayU probably know all that stuff anyway. So it's a good thing to look into the repository source code.
Yep, for sure. As you can see, all the source code is pretty well documented itself. If you can't find it in the documentation online, I have definitely gotten used to the sort of workflow working with Akka in the past and other Lightman libraries, you know, where you just have to dive into the source code sometimes to sort of see what's going on. It'll make things a lot more clear than the documentation does sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, it's normal. I don't know. I have the feeling that a lot of corporations sometimes, like, they are used to kind of just use the stuff, you know, and read documentations, but not really dive into the other source code. And yeah, so that's why I want to say, like, just have a look in the code. Yeah. I mean, it sounds easy sometimes, but that's why we're going to give it a starting point here for the
I will say, kind of as a closing note, that we do have a Discord channel. It is active. We do, you know, there's no SLAs or anything, so we're not going to respond to you within an hour or promise anything like that. But I have it open during the workday. I have it on my phone. I try to answer questions. The other day, somebody asked me questions. They were just stuck and didn't know how to start a Play application from the ground up. And so I helped them. I took a little time and helped them figure out how to sort of start. So, you know, we are on Discord. We're a resource there. We talk to people who are just using Play. We also talk to collaborators who are trying to get started developing and improving the Play framework. So, you know, we're out there listening. So please come chat with us. We'll look out for you.
Yes, sure. Come by and have a talk. So we're going to answer like Chris said, and not everyone has time all the time, but usually there are people hanging around, and yeah. Also, other people from the community, which are not part of the steering committee, are also helping out as well. So we see that as well, which is really nice. Yeah.
I see Alex answering a lot of the questions. For instance, he jumps in.
Yes. I talked to him last time. We had a little bit of a chat, and he's also very deep in Scala. So it's a great guy. So thanks as well for joining the community.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to show it right now. Actually, I put up all these nice patches like a couple of days ago. So you kind of see what we're up to. Like, we have the Twitter, we have the Discord chat, this Play discussions, which we just switched to. So it's just 13 discussions right now, which is not that much because we used another platform. We have Stack Overflow as well. To be honest, I'm not really active on Stack Overflow, so they're usually there are some answers. As far as I know, there are some people really active on Stack Overflow answering my questions. Like, I think last time I had a chat with someone from the community, and he said he's basically hanging around on Stack Overflow most of the time and answering Play questions. So there are also people active. We do have that YouTube channel where we're going to put up all these new videos we are doing like right now, and also more videos which are coming, like not just conversations between Billy and me, but also like we said, like step through different projects and just show how things are set up and how things work. So I think it's a good, like you said, I'm not going to talk about this again, like that should be a nice resource as well in the coming soon. So we have the Twitch live streams here, and of course the Open Collective.
Yeah. Very cool. It's cool to see all that. It's I didn't know that many people were scrolling around in Stack Overflow. That's nice to hear. I will say, if you one thing that you can do to help out the Play framework is subscribe to the YouTube channel. I don't care about the number of subscribers, but for some reason you can't change the URL of your channel to be a nice URL until you have, I think, like 100 subscribers or something like that. And
yeah,
so
and we just started the channel like 2 weeks ago, so we're quite new. So yes, it would be nice if you could subscribe.
yeah, we just want to change that to something nicer to paste. It's a lot easier to remember too. So, all right. Well, I think that's it. That's all I had in mind.
Yeah, cool. So that's also it from my side. So thanks for joining. Thanks for being part of that journey. And see you around.
All right.
So I have to somehow stop that streaming.
It's in your hands, buddy.
Yeah. Okay. So bye everyone. See you.